Good morning, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today is Tuesday, August 6, 2024, and let the record show that the meeting was started at 9:31 a.m. Okay, meeting is called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance from Director Leonard.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll acknowledge the media, and I do have one change to the agenda, where I'd like to update committee assignments, and I believe that comes under new business. Okay, so I'll entertain are there any objections to an amendment to the agenda to?
It's under consent calendar.
Right.
It's
We're
on.
moving it from the consent calendar
New
to
business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
new business.
There's no longer consent. Okay. Okay. So there no objections. The motion is approved.
The agenda is approved.
The agenda is approved. Are there any changes to the minutes of July 2nd, July 8th, or July 18th? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay. And so let's move on to, I guess, the remarks of the chair. All right. As you all know, it's not a lot here today, but it's just we've got people online, I guess, or watching it from home. And I see Martin's here. He's online. There's a lot going on in the community. Some of it, a lot of it, involving GRF. And so last month I made some remarks about what was going on, essentially the recall. And so we did receive some legal correspondence regarding my chair's remarks of July 2nd, 2024. And since I script, document, and read my remarks, and they are videoed, I was able to review them completely. So let me clarify. During my chair remarks at the last GRF meeting, I referred to the prior president of the United Board and the current president of Third initiating 2 recall attempts last year. It only takes 2 directors to initiate a recall, 2 other of the corporate members. To be clear, I do not believe the current United Board and its current president participated in the recall discussions regarding this recall. Clearly, the current recall effort began with the Third Board leadership. And yes, there is reason to suspect that the Third Board may have violated the Open Meeting Act. However, in my view, the United Board and the Mutual 50 board members have purposefully stayed away from any discussion regarding this recall and will, as individuals, vote on September 5th. There is also some confusion over my use of the term block voting when referring to votes at corporate member meetings. My exact words were, the unusual mix of 2 large mutuals and poorly attended corporate member meetings at the Village is unique and leads to voting blocks that can run counter to good decision-making process involving resident input. The term block voting was not in reference to specifically United or Third or Mutual 50, but referred to the fact that members of 2 large mutuals at a corporate member meeting could vote mutual political interests versus the interests of the residents. This is a unique circumstance at Laguna Woods due to the Village having 2 very large mutuals as opposed to 16 and 32 mutuals, such as at Seal Beach and Rossmore Creek in Rossmore, Walnut Creek. Corporate member meetings though open to all residents, can involve some very important decisions. Yet the residents have not played, in the past, an important role over the years. We started to change that with community involvement at the Space Planning Committee. Again, I believe the recall can be directly associated with my efforts to involve you, the residents, at those space planning meetings. Now, in an effort to substantiate the reason for the recall, without cause, I might add, I'm hearing buzz regarding all sorts of efforts to gather negative information regarding my GRF leadership. The concept is throw it all on the wall and see what sticks. Please believe me when I say that I don't believe that this recall is about me or Yvonne Horton. It is about the future integrity of the Laguna Woods governance system and the business model of shared cost amenities and services that has endured for 60 years to make this and other Cortese developments country club living at affordable prices. It is about gutting the experienced leadership of the GRF board. Bunny Carpenter, who was the subject of a prior recall about a year ago, Yvonne Horton, this time recall, and myself, the subject of two recalls, okay, the first one and this one, were simply in the way at the time. The purpose is to essentially gut GRF of its experienced leadership. Now, I can't tell you that that's absolutely, someone has actually stated that, but all the evidence, in my view, says that with everything going on, that appears to be part of the motivation, at least. And we see this as people start to try to understand the trust without benefit of counsel, etc. And so I just see this going on, and I'm really concerned about what's going on in the community. At my stage in life, I didn't do this to gain any sort of notoriety or any sort of control or authority or power. This is simply to support and help my community. And what I'm seeing here now is very troubling to me. And I'm trusting that the directors at the September 5th meeting will vote their judgment and their conscience individually for the good of this community. All right, next is the report, CEO report. Thank you.
Thank you, President Hopkins, members of the board, and our audience this morning. I want to begin with a couple of pertinent reminders. The first is that on Monday, August 12th, for one day, there will be a full gate closure at Gate 12. This is to facilitate a one-day seal coat and striping project. All Gate 12 amenities will be closed, including golf, 19 restaurant, pickleball, lawn bowling, pool 2, and clubhouse 2. Also, I wanted to mention that the annual cleaning for Manor rain gutters started yesterday, August 5th, and you can view the entire schedule for the gutter cleaning program on the village website under the news tab. They are listed by building number, so hopefully you can take a look and see your location and when it's scheduled for cleaning. I would also like to provide an update on the website transformation progress. As highlighted in the recent Media and Communications Committee meeting, progress includes content migration, search function improvements, and privacy improvements. On the screen before you are design concepts. The images are not final, but the new concepts use our branded colors. The main background is softened so that it warms the page and is easier on the eyes. The smallest font size is 16 point, making it easy to read. Overall, the design concept is modern and clean, with easily identifiable calls to action and greater accessibility. The design concept uses a modified bento box style, which offers simplicity and efficiency and the ability to adapt to different devices easily. Bento designs offer greater visual appeal, organization, and user familiarity. And this project is supposed to launch later in September, so we're excited to bring that forward to the community. This morning, I would also like to highlight our village communications platforms and how they are performing. since we continuously strive to communicate effectively with our residents. On the screen before you are the communication platforms. These include governance, electronic, high visibility touchpoints, print, calendars, and broadcast. In terms of digital communication, we offer What's Up in the Village with 17,000 recipients weekly. We have email newsletters from the presidents of GRF United and the third boards, special notification emails from general services, recreation, landscaping, maintenance and construction, and so forth for particular projects or work being done in specific neighborhoods. We have the website, Facebook, the TV6 message board, and marquees throughout the village. The performance of each email is sent and monitored. On the screen before you is an example of those reports, and these show the open rate, contacts sent to, the clicks, the method read, whether it was a phone, tablet, or a computer, and the number of unsubscribes. To understand how our email efforts perform, we compare to industry averages. The general marketing email open rate statistics include OmniSend, which has a 13.57% open rate. MailMunch has an average across all industries of 21.33% open rate. Constant Contact averages 15 to 25%. And Smart Insights had an average in 2017 across all industries of almost 25%. Our sample open statistics include the following. The GRF newsletter on May 16th had a 54% open rate. The United newsletter on May 3rd had a 69% open rate. The third newsletter on May 1st had a 64% open rate. What's Up in the Village on April 19th had a 54.4% open rate. For April to June, the 3-month reporting period, the highest rate of special emails included Garden Center information, 75%, community services bulletins, this is news to our realtor community, a 68% open rate. The carport cleaning, regular emails to both mutuals had a 73% open rate. And a maintenance and construction meeting notice for a ramp request had a 77% open rate. VMS statistics prove that our audience reach is significantly better than our industry averages. On the next page is the website use data. And for that same period, March, April, and May 2024, we had 90,000 active users, 85,000 new users. We had an average engagement rate of 2 minutes and 19 seconds. This is a lot longer than the average engagement time, that is 49 to 52 seconds across multiple industries. So again, when people visit our website, they are staying longer than the industry average. Our Facebook page is updated daily. This is another digital communication tool. It has 4,100 followers. We post at least once a day, average 7 posts per week. And from April to June 30th, 2024, there are 868 post reactions, comments, and shares. This is a 5.2% increase from the previous 3-month period. There were 8,700 Facebook visits, a 19.6% increase from the previous 3-month period, and 158 new users joined Facebook during this time. Pictured on the screen is the Village Breeze. This offers 360-degree communication. If you could go to the next slide, please. And it incorporates website, What's Up in the Village, Facebook share content for redundancy and increased readership. It furthers our brand, lends credibility with accurate and vetted information, and it gathers consistent resident feedback. It provides important content to non-digital users and offers reference material such as the community map, frequently called numbers, and so on. It brings voices to often missed items such as the foundation of Laguna Woods Village, the Village Community Fund, clubs, and so forth. And it offers in-depth content readers wouldn't get otherwise. As shown, we continuously strive to make communication available on various platforms. Although there are roadblocks to communication, especially reading, the average daily personal interest reading for Americans has dropped from 0.36 to 0.29 hours per the Labor Department and the New Yorker. Reasons include that it is not a priority. Readers have no time for reading. People are overwhelmed by information. So communication, no matter how well strategized, is a two-way street. Absorbing information is a personal responsibility. And lastly, just a reminder that the village also has a broadcast platform available. This includes Village Television, TV6, and the Village YouTube channel. And that concludes my presentation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Are there any comments?
Siobhan, as with your report this morning, there's been wonderful advance notice of the closing of Gate 12. There has been no notice to our residents about the problems at the library. The road is completely dug up. There are open trenches all over the place. The back half of the parking lot is cut off because of the painting of San Sebastian. We strive to keep the library open because of the buses and the bus drivers and the need to use our facilities. But there's no place for our workers or our patrons, and this has not been communicated to the residents who come in and say, what's going on? So I would
Thank
really
you.
appreciate.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any? Joan?
Yeah, as head of Media and Communications Committee, I don't need to make a report today. This was fantastic. And you should get a very good idea of how communications work in the village. So keep your eyes and ears open and look and read and enjoy. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Joan. We wanted to share the performance. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Any other? Yeah, and Siobhan, I wanted to thank you also. I think there was this tremendous report. You know, I'm a data-driven person, and there's plenty of data there. And to be honest with you, the one I was very interested in is the communication, where there are senders, and then there are receivers. And in order to get impact, the receivers have to want to be involved. So I appreciate the statistical information. I learned a lot. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Any other comments? Okay, next we go to the open forum, and at this time, members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors. The Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for this open forum to 30 minutes in total. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people, and there should be no audio or video recording by attendees. And please hold your comments to non-threatening or rude remarks. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link or by calling 669-900-6833 or email meeting@vmsinc.org. And then you can have your message read during the open forum. Okay, so are there any?
Yes, we have one in-person speaker, and then we have one email that I'll read after.
Okay.
The in-person speaker is Chris Collins.
Hey, Chris.
Morning. Let's see if I can get this
Good morning,
going.
Chris.
Good morning. I'm Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods, which we do on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial emergency. Why the Foundation's Good Neighbor Project? Thank you to all the clubs who submitted proposals for the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village Good Neighbor Project. The many club proposals submitted all reflect a goal of strengthening our community, fostering social connections, and celebrating being a good neighbor. The 5 clubs selected for implementation and funding will be publicly announced in August. You may be wondering why the Foundation initiated this project. So in brief, this project reflects the Foundation's commitment to improving the overall well-being of the village. Since the pandemic, there's an often overlooked problem affecting older adults, which is loneliness, and the village is not exempt. Loneliness is pervasive, stemming from social isolation, fear, and limited social interaction and support during the pandemic. Loneliness has become an increasing problem, particularly for older adults. About 50% of adults report feelings of loneliness. Loneliness is also harmful. According to Dr. Vivek Murphy, the United States Surgeon General, the morality impact of being socially disconnected is similar to that caused by smoking of up to 15 cigarettes a day, even greater than that associated with obesity and physical inactivity. Two well-known U.S. health agencies have reported that loneliness is now a problem that has reached epidemic levels and can lead to dementia, stroke, depression, and premature death. So why should we be concerned about loneliness in Laguna Wood Village? Because loneliness disproportionately affects older adults. First, many adult residents live alone, some without any family or without family nearby. Second, limited mobility, financial pressures, and physical ailments limit many older adults' ability to connect and socialize with others. And third, many older adults are still fearful of COVID, and they limit their social activities. What can we do about combating loneliness right here in the village? Well, clearly there's no simple answer, but it is an issue worth examining. So how can we create more meaningful connections among residents? And how can we ensure residents who feel isolated and disconnected can reach out for help? What everyday activities can be fostered that create greater connections among residents? In looking at these questions, the foundation decided to take a step forward with the Good Neighbor Project. So for any more information about the foundation, please go to the foundation of lagunawoodsvillage.org, and you can contact the foundation at thefoundation@comline.com. Talking fast. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the email I'll read is from Nancy Carlson, and this is regarding the Equestrian Center. She stated, as evidenced at the 7/29/24 GRF Open Finance Committee meeting, there is mounting community concern regarding the Equestrian Center, shared lost costs, and exceptionally narrow member user audience and significant operating expenses. The Equestrian Center is not separately cast as it should be in the business plan, reflecting and giving an accurate picture of related costs and expenses unique to a livestock facility and operations. The unique insurance costs associated with a horse boarding, horse rental, schooling, and training facility. Essential and fundamental line item components to be disclosed and toward proper calculation for setting fees. This includes GRF Cap E budget items for such things as a large horse trailer, when the horse owners are responsible for their own horse transportation and costs to off-site horse events. Note, August 1st, 2024, the Saddle Club announced in the Laguna Woods Globe, GRF apparently has newly contracted with an outside third party offering fee-based equestrian vaulting lessons for children starting at age 10, as well as adults at Equestrian Center. The third party's incentive, no doubt, earning revenue using our facilities. Equestrian vaulting is effectively human gymnastics on horseback. Frankly, I find Laguna Woods offering vaulting lessons in practice pretty shocking, if not imprudent in light of our community age demographic and restrictions, notwithstanding a potential legal exposure and financial risk of liability claims. Liability waivers don't always stand up based on claims. 1, did the board and or corporate members approve this activity? 2, did the board and or corporate members approve a contract with a third party to use Laguna Woods Village facilities for a fee? 3, did directors with horses or sponsoring non-members with horses vote approval? Did the board and or corporate members approve incremental liability insurance? Is the subject third party legally guaranteeing Laguna Woods Village full indemnification? What is the potential legal liability and damage for one broken neck or bone? And 7, what is the fee sharing and profit structure with a third party, and where is it in the GRF budget? And that is all from United Director Nancy Carlson.
Okay.
And that's all for open forum as well.
Any more comments from the members? Member comments?
How can you comment to that?
I'm sorry. Any more member comments as well?
No.
Ask it, yeah. Okay. So, no, not yet? Not yet? Okay. So, okay, no more member comments. Okay, we'll ask for board director responses.
Yes.
Yeah. Kush?
Well, I need to
thank Kristen Collins for constantly bringing us great update from the foundation and for her taking the time to come almost every month to give us the updates. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I usually mention it, and I'll do it this time too, that the Foundation of Laguna Woods does so much good work in this community. I know I receive a request for acknowledgement, donation, and I always try to acknowledge that with a donation. So I ask everybody to chip in because it helps all of us. We never know when we'll need it.
One more. I want to suggest that whenever people send emails, that we do time those emails when we are reading them, because sometimes people send us long emails, and if they were to stand here and talk, it would be way past the 3 minutes, and we would cut them off. And people send an email and bypass that 3-minute limit. So this is a kind of a workaround if somebody has a long, want to carry on. So maybe we should try to implement that. That's my suggestion.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. Yvonne?
I think Nancy's letter was inflammatory, and I know that she and others have a problem with the equestrian center. That is a GRF facility, and I don't understand why they would be attacking that one amenity that we have when so many people find it useful. We have about 30,000 visitors a year that go over there, take their grandchildren, and enjoy that. It is a shared cost, and furthermore, next month, that's when we're going to go over the finance is, going over the fees over at the Equestrian Center. So before we keep pointing fingers at closing the Equestrian Center or wanting more information, I would wait until after finance gets done with their whatever they're going to do, their fees, the changes of the fees over there. And maybe it'll be a little bit more palatable for Ms. Carlson. Thank you.
Just a more generic response is that we changed the process by which we look at fees. And so initially fees were, any sort of change in fees would originate in the operating committee, such as CAC. We've changed that to they now start to be initiated by finance. There's a regular review so that every 3 years, all fees will be reviewed within a 3-year period, some annually, some every 2 years, and some every 3 years, depending on the importance and the changing in cost and those kinds of things. At that time, those fees can be reviewed. The other thing I heard at the finance meeting, someone made reference to spending $3 million at the Equestrian Center. Nowhere near that. I think and by the way, the Green Book, does have a separate section in the recreational area that highlights all of the paid amenities and has a P&L for each one of those paid amenities. And Equestrian Center is part of that. So it's done. The other thing I saw was there was also an allegation that we spent $100,000 on insurance, and it turns out to be about $55,000 for that. So I'm not suggesting that everything is perfect in terms of a financial perspective, but it is looked at and reviewed. BMS Finance does a fine job of looking into those things. And we also, that Green Book is over 200 pages of very, very good information for all of us to be well equipped to handle it. I think the per man or per month cost of the Equestrian Center net cost is something like $3.50 to $4. So that's what I saw. Steve?
I believe that Ms. Carlson's concern about not showing the actual insurance expense for the equestrian center as a line item in the Green Book is valid. Personally, I brought this up about 5 years ago as well, as I do have some experience in the equestrian world for over a decade. And the insurance at the time that I looked at it, through Dan Yost, it was about $100,000 a year. President Stevens from Mutual 50 addressed the same issue yesterday. Staff's response was that the insurance is $55,000 a year now. I'm not sure that that is accurate for the following reason. There are two policies. One is for professional liability, and then there is an additional rider for excess liability. So staff may mistakenly, not intentionally, may have only been aware of one policy and not both. But I think that it is a fair concern that if we have specific insurance requirements for specific activities or recreational facilities, that should be broken out as part of the department and not just bundled. So I agree with Ms. Carlson's concern. I'm not going to get into any of the accusations about who wants to close equestrian or why or what. I'm going to distance myself from all of that entirely, but I just wanted to make that remark. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd just like to remind Ms. Carlson that each of the corporations has a lane, and we need to stay in that lane. Amenities are GRF's lane, not the corporate members. We do not go to the corporate members and ask them for each amenity, can we do this, can we do that, etc. This is through us and our management company, who is hired by GRF. So you have enough to look at in your lane with your mutual. Don't try to bleed over into ours.
Bill?
I would say that I received, I think, a copy of the letter that was just read, as well as another letter from another person asking about the equestrian center, and I've asked staff to gather some information for me so I can respond to the letters. But just in the interest of full disclosure, that's in process now.
Okay, great. Any more comments? Okay, great. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Okay. Now, all matters listed on the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by the members of the board, such items may be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. I'll entertain a motion.
I move the consent calendar. Seconded.
Moved in second. Are there any comments or objections? Moved in second. The approval is, the motion is approved. Okay. Next is the recommendation from the Finance Committee. Consistent with the statute.
That's part of the consent calendar.
Oh, that's part of, sorry. Okay. Oh, and there's, is this part, still part of consent calendar, update to committee appointments?
No, we moved it.
We moved it. Okay. It's on to unfinished business, right? No, a new business, okay, fine. All right, move to unfinished business, and here we'll have an update on Clubhouse One. Do we have an update? I guess we don't have an update. Bert? Bart? You're up.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm happy to report to you that we are here in the final stretch. The project is on schedule and within budget. As you know, the work includes, the work includes the drop-in lounge with new floors, wall ceiling treatments and lights, remodeled bathrooms and showers, upgraded billiards room at its new location, ballroom upgrades that include a brand new look for the fireplace, new doors, windows, and paint. Mr. Guy West was not able to be here, but he did prepare a YouTube video for you to see. It has just been recently uploaded, so whenever you get a chance, please take a look at that. It has more detailed report and nice pictures that go along with that. So the plan is to turn it over to Recreation at the end of the month, and they will in turn make preparations for the facility to open for business. A total of 15 change orders have been processed to date. You were provided with a detailed update in closed session of the first 8 change orders and a preview of the next 5. New change orders that we're working on include small credits for work that was not needed and the installation of fans in the fitness center. The staff is working on the last remaining change orders to complete the project, all of which are well within budget. Approximately $180,000 from the contingency allocation for this project remain unspent. And now that we know that that the unused contingency balance is approximately $180,000, and as you know, some of the furniture is in pretty bad shape. Recreations has asked to use $50,000 from the unused contingency to purchase furniture. It is their goal to get as much of this furniture prior to the opening of the facility for use. And with that, Allison is here to tell us about what the next steps are going to be after they take over the facility. And if you have any questions, both of us are available to answer any questions.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Yeah. So what I heard was we have a $180,000 contingency because of the nature, and of that, there's $50,000 that we have approved in terms of change orders. Or what's that effect? Is that what I heard?
So
No.
the request is to use, there's currently an estimated $180,000 that remain unspent from the contingency balance after we subtract all of the change orders that we have processed to date. Of that, $50,000 have been requested to be spent on buying new furniture prior to the opening of the facility.
I see. So you want to spend another 50 of the contingency for new furniture?
Yes.
All right. Shouldn't that go through Recreation or
Finance.
and Finance?
It could. Time is of the essence. However, if you want to have the new furniture in time for the opening of the facility, that's why we raised it this
Yeah.
morning.
Okay, and I would agree. Maybe we don't have time to go through the process, but I think touching base with the board and or its responsible committee is really the proper way to go. We can do it by talking to the finance chair and getting his opinion, and maybe he can call if he thinks it should go to committee for whatever reason, because there is a contingency, and you're not violating the contingency. But if the committee chair is apprised of what's going on, then he can help make that decision for the board.
Sounds good.
I have a question for.
Yes.
You said at the end of the month. Do you have any date set for the clubhouse to be in full operation?
In full operation. Allison will be able to provide some information in regards to that. If you give us just a moment.
Allison is going to present that information.
Oh, okay, sure.
Thank you, Bart.
Good morning, President Hopkins and directors.
Good morning.
Yes, we are excited to get back to Clubhouse One, and we know we have many people that are as well. Assuming the project's complete by the end of the month, as we estimate about 2 weeks to move back into the facility with a soft opening of Monday, September 16th. Again, that is dependent on the project being handed over to us and all the inspections being done. So that weekend is Labor Day weekend when we start. So we're Monday the 3rd, we'd start moving stuff back in place. It includes moving furniture out of storage, hanging signs, flyer holders, rebuilding pool tables and getting them back in, completing some minor projects that weren't included in the scope of work. We have done a lot of coordination with maintenance and construction and the project manager to get things done while the project is happening. So hopefully that will be minimal. Contacting clubs, rentals, moving back in. As you know, our staff are scattered throughout the village right now. We have to get them back in place at Clubhouse One, so there will be a transition period there. Our lifeguards, we need to get that scheduling in place. If we can, if everything is in place, we would like to open the pool as soon as possible. We may not have to wait until the soft opening, but again, all those pieces need to fall into place. And same with the mini gym. So right now the mini gym is actually our storage unit, so there is a lot of stuff in there. It has to be cleaned out. We want to repaint it. We want to make that look nice too. But yes, we would like to order some new furniture. The furniture we have is not going to fall apart if you sit on it. It just looks terrible and doesn't match with all the new furnishings. So that's the reasoning for wanting to bring in some new stuff. We'll keep what we can, but we want to freshen it up and make it look like we did a renovation of the entire facility. That's all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Will we as directors be able to have a walkthrough before you open it to the general public?
Yes, I think we can coordinate that prior.
Very good.
As long as we're meeting the standards of meetings and hosting.
Pardon?
As long as we meet the standards of proper meeting protocol.
Of course.
Posting and-
you
yeah.
set it up and we'll follow you.
I'm sure we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
Steve?
So if I'm not mistaken, the replacement of furniture would be a reserve line item for replacement on some scheduled basis?
It would come from reserves, yes.
Right, as a natural occurrence every 10 years or whatever, it's on a schedule. So I guess my question would be if the amount required would be $50,000, are we required to go out for RFP on that to get bids, or is that under an amount that we could just approve a purchase order if Recreation came up with one?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure of the limitations, but I can also tell you that there are always, situations and exceptions to any one of those things. So
Shaban?
time is of the essence.
We will work with-
So we would have to.
We will work with finance staff, recreation staff, and the finance, treasurer, to work out the details.
Yeah.
I was
Make
just
sure the
curious
I's are-
because I
just
do
make sure
know
the
that-
I's are dotted, T's are crossed.
Yeah, I do know that in some instances, department directors have the ability to move forward with something as long as it's under a threshold. So, thank you.
Yep. But again, John?
This is not for you, it's for Bart. It's slightly off topic, Bart. What was happening with the trench that stopped all the traffic going in and out of Clubhouse One? What was the repair? And did it hold up the project?
So it did not hold up the project. That was the replacement of broken gutters, spandrels, and V-gutters within the facility. As you know, concrete, you have to dig up the concrete and pour new concrete. That driveway was poured yesterday and is now plated and is fully open.
Yeah. Thank you. I live next to it and I thought, oh, what's going on?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Juanita?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the change order of the $50,000 for the new furniture for Clubhouse One.
Moved in second. Ready for the discussion? Is there any discussion? We've had a dot on it, but anybody have any additional discussion? All right, moved in second. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstain? All right, motion passes. There you go. And I might add that I think when you have large construction projects, these things are going to happen. So I just wrote down for my own, we need to develop a quick process where, everyone impacted or needs to participate in this approval process is notified, and then there's a more rapid approval process so that we don't have to have a full board meeting or those kind of things to make these kinds of things for major projects happen. And they are important that, you can't delay something, a $3 million project for a $50,000 change order and wait for a board meeting of sorts. So we got, in closed session, we may want to develop a more rapid process of notification and approval. So just one of the things. Any other comments? Okay, ready. Okay, building update, oral discussion. Is there no one here for that? I do know that we did, I guess July 8th, we approved, the GRF board approved 7-0 and two extensions to move ahead with to rebuild building E. That whole process is under legal review right now in terms of what approvals are required for something like this project. And one of the reasons I think the GRF sought to get a legal approval, because there's always been, just based on the bylaws, a lot of discussion as to what are the standards that go up the chain, that is to the corporate members. And so just to get an answer on that is important before we proceed with any sort of actual construction activity. So we need an answer for that, and then we will discuss that answer fully as to how this building E or space planning fits into that whole structure of both our bylaws and the trust, because there's an interrelationship between the bylaws and trust that is being reviewed at the moment. And that's what the holdup in moving anything forward is. So is there any more? Okay. Next, we'll move to new business. I'll let you take your job.
Our first order of business is a donation of cups for Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge. Resolution 90-24-XX. Whereas the Korean American Association, KAA, proposed to donate cups for Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge, and whereas the Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge provides coffee to those visiting Clubhouse One and staff keeps the cups in the office to monitor usage. And whereas the KAA proposed to donate cups for 1 year at the estimated cost of up to $5,000. And whereas the donation would begin from the date of Clubhouse One reopening, and the cup distribution would be controlled for each day to ensure less waste. And whereas the KAA donation verbiage would be displayed on each cup. Whereas on July 11th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended the donation of cups for the Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge from the Korean American Association for 1 year at the estimated cost of up to $5,000 in accordance with the Golden Rain Foundation donation policy. Now therefore, be it resolved, August 6th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the donation of cups for the Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge from the Korean American Association, And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. We need a motion. I'm not going to move.
Okay. You're not moving? Okay.
No.
We need a motion?
Okay, Bill. Who seconds?
Second?
Donna.
Moved in second. Are there any objections to?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
all right. I have an objection. I'd vote against this because of the use of their logo on the cups. It states specifically in our policy, under signage, that you can't have any personal logos on whatever is donated. And this is in direct violation of it. Excuse me, I wanted to read it for you. It says, no signage or slogans shall be displayed on donated personal property or those items secured with US dollar cash donations. So I would vote against this. There are others.
Okay. Who else had I think Yvonne, you had raised your hand.
I was going to read the same thing that John said.
Yeah. Donna?
Yeah, I was just going to say, can I ask a question? Is we can't display them, we can't violate those things, but it was certainly generous. I hate to think of waste and throwing them out as well, which we shouldn't do. Is there some place they could be used behind the scenes where we can take advantage of their generosity, or is it just not permitted? If it's not permitted, there's nothing we can do, but is there some way to have it used somewhere?
If I may, the way it would be recognized is to be on a plaque or stated in the lounge that the cups were a donation of KAA. But their logo on the cups has already been printed, and we didn't know about it ahead of time. And it's unfortunate, but I'm going to let Yvonne speak to that because it's not appropriate for our donation policy.
Yes, it isn't appropriate. And the CAC denied the request anyway, but it still gets elevated. It was my understanding that they already changed that this policy that we're trying to approve, they've already taken that logo off of it. So
They took the leaf logo off. The leaf logo.
Oh, I thought they took
not KAA.
Well, if
That
that's
was my
the case,
understanding.
we can't accept them, and we didn't approve it at CAC, so.
I thought we did.
Yes, sir.
So I was at the meeting, taking the minutes. You guys did approve the donation of the cups. However, I went back and checked with the media communication because of the issue with the leaf and the color scheme. So we did get those removed already. So it was you guys did approve the donation at the CAC meeting. I took the minutes. I was there.
I didn't approve it.
Kush?
Well, I was at the meeting as part of the committee. We did approve it, and we had a contentious conversation about it. But the bottom line right now is that the cups have been ordered, and they're probably here in the country, and we respect the generosity of the Korean Association. However, we can at least inform them that this could never ever happen where they are concerned or any other club, and let that be known publicly. I would hate to see that these cups be thrown away or not used, because that's totally wasteful, and I don't know what else can I say about it, but we have to create a kind of a example of their generosity as well as their mistake. So let it be known that in that way, but I would hate to see it being thrown away. That's what I would like to see.
Okay. It states on the cup, this cup is provided by Korean American Associates of Laguna Woods Village. And that's part of the statement that would be on each cup. In addition, please use 1 cup per person, perfectly fine. But the point of this part being against our policy, I'm sorry, it was already printed. And I do appreciate their generosity, but the misunderstanding is not appropriate for the village.
Juanita?
I have to agree with Joan. We make too many exceptions. It seems like this is what's getting us in trouble time after time after time. Something happens like this and we make an exception. And then another group says, oh, but they did it, so I should be able to do it. I don't think these cups will be thrown away. Korean American Association has meetings all the time, and they have a very large group. They can use them there. But I think we need to make the point that if you're going to do something like this, you need to get permission. You need to talk to CAC, you need to talk to Recreation, not order the cups and have it fait accompli, it's already here, what are we going to do with them? So while we appreciate the generosity, we also have to look to the future and say, what kind of precedent would this be?
Any more comments? Mr. Rader?
Dick Rader, 270D. I was at that meeting. I think one point that you have not been made aware of, if you were not at the meeting, the reason why they were giving the cups. Evidently, what is happening is that cups are put out, people are taking them, and they thought by doing this and putting something out that says, please take only 1 cup, that was their motivation. It was not, as I understand it, to promote the Korean club. With regard to the exception, I'm a stickler for rules. As you might know, when you hear me speaking at various meetings. However, I have also been in attendance where GRF and other boards make exceptions. In fact, do you have an exception today? Is the Aqueducts on your agenda today? Am I wrong?
What is that?
Aqueducts, the swimming group. Are they on the agenda? Oh, I thought I had read that. Oh, maybe that's CAC. Okay. Yeah, there will be an exception made for them. Maybe, yes, of course, because exceptions are made. In this case, I think the following. You might consider doing this. They should have consulted or gotten knowledge of what the rules were, but maybe you should use this as an educational point, pointing out to the community that you're accepting this, but you cannot do it any longer because here are the rules. In other words, allow it, but use it to educate. That would be my thought.
Are there any more comments? I think there's a motion on the table. Okay. All in favor? Do so by raising your hand.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the motion?
Repeat the motion, please.
Yes.
Motion is to accept the donation.
The motion is to accept the Korean Club's donation of cups for Clubhouse One Drop-In Lounge. That's a motion. Okay, Bill?
So there's a call for a vote. Do you understand the motion? Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed?
5. 3,
1, 2,
5. 5 to 5. 5 to 5. You have to vote.
I have to vote?
Or not. If you don't, it won't
Okay.
pass.
I oppose. I
You
oppose.
oppose.
Mhm.
So 6-5, motion fails. 6-5, or motion fails.
Yeah, I think this is one of, for me, this was one of those things that this didn't have to be rushed. It could have been resolved prior to
Yep.
with the logo. But anyway,
They'll
let's
figure
move
it
on.
out. They'll use them if they're using them. They'll use them at their meetings. They'll use them.
Okay, let's move on to the next item,
Okay.
which is entertain a motion to approve the stop signs and crosswalks at Avenida Sevilla and Mendoza.
Okay, resolution 90-24-XX, not to pursue stop signs and crosswalks on Avenida Sevilla and Via Mendoza. Whereas the Board of Directors approved for the traffic engineer consultant to conduct a study on the need and impact of converting the intersection of Avenida Sevilla and Via Mendoza from a two-way stop sign and crosswalk to a four-way stop sign and crosswalk with an unbudgeted appropriation of $7,581 to be funded from the operating fund. And whereas the traffic engineer firm determined that the data collected does not meet with the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices and thus does not recommend an all-way stop at this time. And whereas the traffic engineer firm further cautions that installation of an unwarranted traffic control may cause additional collisions. Now, therefore, be it resolved August 6th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby elect to not pursue converting the intersection of Avenida Sevilla and Via Mendoza from a two-way stop sign and crosswalk to a four-way stop sign and crosswalk. And resolve further that Resolution 90-23-43 is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of this corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we follow staff's recommendation and not pursue the stop signs and crosswalks of Avenida Sevilla and Via Mendoza.
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? Steve?
Do we have a map of where this location is? I'm not familiar with the intersection. On the wall. Okay, thank you.
Maybe, here's Eric. See what Eric says.
I don't have a map here with me today, but we call it Phase 1, and it's over to that side of El Toro Road and by Gates 3. And if you take Sevilla, it doglegs to the left and exits Gates 4. And right before that, where the dogleg is where they're requesting, where the request was made for the stop sign, the additional stop signs, and the crosswalk.
The egress as you're exiting the village gate.
Yeah, it's egress and ingress, actually. I mean, Sevilla goes both directions.
Right. But it's that last little.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Egon?
Well, I think there are many stop signs in the village that are unnecessary. However, I personally went out to look at this situation. I don't know how many other directors did because I was curious. And in this one particular case, given the age of the people that drive, because of that bend that was noted, it really gives them a little extra time to make a left turn when you're coming out of Via Mendoza or the other side of the road, which has the name changes there. So while I was not, a flaming you got to have a stop sign there. I could see where this would actually be useful in helping people get across the road there, because you can look down and the car can come around that bend, and then while you're trying to make your left turn or cross as a pedestrian, things can happen too fast. So, but I originally supported the stop sign, but I did not support the engineer. Well, in this case, I guess it worked out opposite. So at least I'm happy to see we followed some procedure here, and we're not going to do it now.
Okay, thanks. Bill?
What was the reason for the request? I mean, was there a study? Were there accidents? I mean, did somebody flip a coin? What was
Some neighbors came forward, said it was a busy area. It was, in their view, it was a blind area in terms of them being able to use the crosswalk because there's a bend there. And one of the residents came forward with a full-blown presentation of what it looked like, et cetera, et cetera. So then we commissioned traffic engineering study, because we're not the engineers.
Right.
So we had staff, we authorized staff, the financials, the money to get an engineering study, which apparently they have done, and their conclusion is, in this case, they're recommending not doing
So it was requested by a resident, studied by staff with a traffic engineer, who all recommend no.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
As chair of SCAC, this was brought to us a year ago. We went through a couple of meetings where we discussed it and came up that we needed to have a traffic engineer. Then we had to go through that process, get the funds for it, get them hired. My only concern is this is the first time that I, as chair, am seeing this report. It has not gone back to SCAC to be able to get endorsement from that committee. Now, I agree with what they say. I don't dispute the traffic engineer at all, but I just think we missed a step in the process.
Steve?
So if making it a full four-way, three-way stop, whatever it would be, is not called for because of a lack of accidents and the traffic engineer's report, might it be prudent to put a crosswalk for pedestrians with some signs with, stick people, pedestrians? It says,
If I may, Mr. President and esteemed members of the board, the reason why we hired the traffic engineer in the first place is because things like crosswalks, and all the control devices the control device that was requested was specifically so that when people were to cross, cars would be stopped. Putting a crosswalk without an actual stop sign would not be something I would recommend, and certainly not the traffic engineer, because it's a hazardous situation, actually. And anytime you see a mid-block crosswalk that isn't really controlled, it's really not the best practice based on the California MUTCD warrants. But and I don't want to speak to the engineer himself, but just reviewing the report, he recommends that doesn't even happen. And it's not just based on accidents, it's based on the actual volumes of traffic that are in the area. But there is no traffic history or accident history or volumes that recommend that. Just so it's clear for the treasurer, Mr. Cohen, Director Cohen, we actually brought this before SCAC and staff report on this, and the study was done initially by security with passive mind readers, for traffic, and looking at all the traffic counts, the speeds that they were going at it, and the actual resident, a member that had the issue brought up, was out of town. So what happened was the SCAC voted not to do this. And then and then what happened after that is, this was back in September of '22, and then the resident came before SEAC with his own presentation, as the president alluded to earlier, or mentioned, and that was back like February of '23. And that's when, and that wasn't a staff report, that was his presentation, and they voted on his presentation and said, go forward with this. My recommendation was not so much not to do it in the first place, it was we need to have a traffic engineer review it so that it absolves us of any liability that we'd be exposed to. And that was simply that. And so the presentation that went before and all the way up to GRF last time was to get a traffic engineer's report. They, whether we do it or not was dependent upon, for GRF, was dependent upon what the traffic engineer report would say. So the report came back. That was probably the reason why, as Director Skillman and also the chair of SEAC, it was discussed that the report was done. The reason why it didn't get or go through approval process, because it had already been all the way through the approval process, it was just needed to come back to GRF for your determination of whether you wanted to put that up in opposition of what the professional traffic engineer said or not. And so that's why we have it here today. And and their recommendation was not to do it based on volume, traffic history, accidents, and such.
Thank you. Okay, are there any more comments? Okay, so the resolution is to not change the, not add stop signs and crosswalks, okay? Just to make sure, can you, yeah, you've already read it, so I just want to make sure that the resolution is to not do that, okay? So all those in favor of the resolution? Okay. All those opposed? Okay. Resolution passes. Just a comment. This is one of those areas where, and thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah.
I abstain from voting.
Okay. One abstention. Okay. Where we go out and we get experts, okay, and the expert comes back and says, this is what the expert recommends. We don't necessarily have to follow the expert, but this is very, very technical, traffic, and we should pay lots of attention, in my view, to what the experts say, and I think we did. So I appreciate that. Now we're on to 12C. Okay. I'll get it there. I'll get it straight. Okay, 12C is entertain a motion to consider the pickleball good neighbor proposal.
Okay. Resolution 90-24-XX, Pickleball Club Good Neighbor Project request. Whereas the foundation of Laguna Woods Village approved and funded a total of 5 Good Neighbor projects to strengthen community and social interaction, reflecting the foundation's commitment to improving the overall well-being of the village. And whereas all 5 activities selected will take place during the month of September to celebrate National Good Neighbor Day on September 28th, including the Pickleball Club's proposal for pop-up experiences. And whereas the Pickleball Club's Good Neighbor Project proposal will offer 3 events. First, a Grandparents' Day themed event at the pickleball courts on Sunday, September 8th from 9 a.m. to noon. Second, at the Performing Arts Center, corner of the parking lot, on Sunday, September 15th from 1 to 4 p.m. And third, at Clubhouse 5 at the side parking lot on Sunday, September 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m. And whereas recreation staff identified the suggested times as not to conflict with regularly scheduled events at the facilities, and approximately 20 club members will assist with coordinating event logistics. And whereas there are no additional costs to the Golden Rain Foundation, and staffing is already available at the clubhouses during the requested event times. Now, therefore, be it resolved, August 6, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the pickleball club use of the aforementioned facilities for the foundation of Laguna Woods Village approved Good Neighbor project, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the discussion? Any comments? Discussion?
My
Yvonne?
question is, for Allison, is about Clubhouse 5 on a Sunday. Those are prime hours for swimming, and it's really hot.
Yes, I don't think this would be an impact with the swimmers. We were more concerned about the rentals that generate a lot of traffic
Yeah, okay.
impact, but we didn't have a concern necessarily about the swimmers.
Okay.
And
Thank
it
you.
should be on the opposite side of where the swimmers would be.
Well, I assume that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Good.
you.
This went through CAC though, right?
Pardon?
This proposal went through CAC.
It did, but
Okay.
I didn't, I just wanted to make it clear for everybody.
To clarify, it did not go to CAC. It was a last-minute request that we needed to get in prior to the events. So the foundation approved the events, and the timing didn't align with the CAC meeting.
So,
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Kush?
Yes, you're right, it didn't go through CSE. My question is, what kind of activity are they going to conduct at each of
Pickleball.
these? Sorry?
We do have the president of the pickleball club here if you want some more detail about the activities, about the pop-up activities.
Okay, would be nice to know.
Good morning. I'm Miranda McPhee. I'm the president of the Pickleball Club. So the grandparents stay at the court, and we're going to leave one court open for any residents who want to come and play regularly, so we don't close the courts completely. We have an idea of, it's called pickle pong. So you have a pickleball net. We put 2 buckets, like those Home Depot 5-gallon buckets, on one side of the net. On the other side of the net, we'll put like a spot for somebody to stand on. And with a pickleball, they'll aim to get the ball into the bucket on the other side of the net. We also recognize that we may get great-grandkids who are tiny tots, who are not eligible to be on the courts, and we will give them mini buckets and pickleballs to throw. This is a pickleball. If you're not familiar with it, it's very light. It's like it's a wiffle ball. For the players between 6 and maybe, well, we're saying kids, so maybe 25, we don't know what ages they'll be, we can have regular play going on the courts. People who are new, we can help them because we'll be surrounded by club members. So that's the Grandparents' Day. And then we have a shaded patio. We'll add chairs to that. So it's a little bit like being in the old playground with the parents and the grandparents being in the middle and the kids playing on the outside. Out in the parking lots, we have a portable net. It stretches to 20 feet. We can twirl it in to make it shorter. And again, we would put a bucket on one side of the net and stand on the other side of the net. And the point is that nobody runs around, nobody has to move. It's suitable for people who aren't mobile or even in wheelchairs to just have a little bit of a fun with a tiny challenge on throwing a ball into the other side. I also forgot to mention on the Grandparents' Day at the courts, we are going to grill hot dogs for the kids.
Okay.
But what is the goal of this event? Is just to have fun?
Yes.
Is to collect money?
No.
No?
There's no money. We'll have water, and the foundation has given us some funding, so we'll use that for the rental of the chairs and the hot dogs. It's just to say, come out and have a little bit of a fun for a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon, and it's something that we can do.
Fabulous.
That's all.
Martin?
Hi.
Hi.
So you said throw the ball into the bucket or hit it into the bucket?
It can be either. It'll be depending on people's ability. So some people may not be able to throw or may not be able to hit.
Yeah.
We have got paddles. We have other people who might want to try paddle. So either could be done. But tiny tots won't use paddles.
But you're going to be chasing the balls down.
Well, that's why we'll be surrounded by people.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be the only
And
concern.
There are not going to be balls flying everywhere. Like 2 balls at a time. And I've got pictures of the parking lot, so there's a bank of trees and a big grassy area, so any ball that went a little wayward, we'll be chasing. And that's the point of supplying it with members. I don't think there's a problem with the number of our members turning up. We love to do stuff like this, to get out in the community and just say hi.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the table.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Item D, entertain a motion to approve the pricing rates for electric charging stations to go on 28-day.
All right.
Mr. President, the item before you is a I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You're going to read the...
I was going to read the proposal.
Please do.
But,
No, please do.
okay, I'll read it first and then you tell us. Okay. Resolution 90-24-XX, pricing rates for electric vehicle charging stations. Whereas the GRF Board recognizes the need to amend the pricing rates for electric vehicle charging stations as necessary, and whereas the establishment of these rates are impacted by the electric rates adopted by Southern California Edison. Now therefore be it resolved September 3rd, 2024, that the board hereby approves the following pricing rates for electric vehicle charging stations effective upon adoption of this resolution. For level 2 chargers, for the GRF fleet vehicles, 0. For Laguna Woods Village members and employees per kilowatt hour, 31 cents. Other users per kilowatt hour, 34 cents. Parking rates, $2 after 4 hours. $2 per hour after 4 hours. For the level 3 chargers, GRF fleet vehicles, again 0. Laguna Woods Village members and employees per kilowatt hour, still 31 cents. Other users per kilowatt hour, 65 cents. Parking rates, $2 per hour after 1 hour. Resolved further that future revisions to the pricing rates for electric vehicle charging stations be based on the percent change adopted by SCE effective June 1st of the particular year and implemented by the Finance Department with an update to the Finance Committee and GRF Board after the adoption of the new rates. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution for the discussion purposes, but postpone the final vote per Civil Code 4360. Martin seconds. Okay. Now.
Discussion, Steve?
I make a motion.
You can't, we just made a motion.
Sorry. Oh, you just made a motion. I move to amend the motion.
Okay.
And my reasoning will be as follows. If you look at the attachment page.
What amendment?
What is your amendment?
Oh,
first?
my amendment is that we raise the other users level 2 rate to 45 cents per kilowatt hour. And my reason for doing that is as follows. We only have 4 ports behind this building. The majority of the charging that's done by our members is done on those level 2 charging ports. Non-members primarily use the high-speed chargers, the level 3. Since we only have 4 ports back there, we also have company vehicles, which utilize those ports. And they are used frequently every day, pretty much. I see company cars out there. As far as, it's an incidental amount of difference in revenue, really, but my suggestion to do this is to make the ports available more for our residents and less for our non-residents. If you look at page 9 of the EV charging rates on the level 2, you'll see that the local ones at Laguna Woods City Hall, Laguna Hills City Hall, and the SoFi Apartments are in the 21 cent to 30 cent area. If the City of Laguna Woods and the City of Laguna Hills wishes to subsidize charging as a municipality, that is certainly their prerogative. The SoFi Apartments at 21 cents, at 30 cents for SoFi. I'm familiar with that location. It's an apartment building, and I believe they still only have one bollard there, and it's primarily for use for the residents. It's not a convenient location for people to come and charge at that slow rate. So my amendment would be to raise the level 2 rate to 45 cents for non-residents. It's not that the money will make any much difference, but it may make the availability of the level 2 ports higher for our residents going forward. Thank you.
Just to clarify then, if you look at the chart on the resolution, he's talking about level 2 chargers, correct? And other users per kilowatt hour, raising it from 34 cents to 45 cents.
Correct.
Okay, so it doesn't apply to residents, but it applies to non-residents.
Only to non-residents.
Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
Well, yeah. We have to vote on the
Gotta vote on the
amendment.
amendment. Moved in second, all those in...
Point of order? If the original mover accepts the friendly amendment, I don't believe it needs separate voting.
Excuse me, he just made an amendment. We have to vote on the amendment first.
Yeah, they...
Go for it.
I'm sorry, what your point was, if it...
It doesn't matter. Go for it.
I know what you're saying, Bill, but let's do it this way.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment to make the change. Okay, all those in...
Okay.
Just to make clear, we're removing the level 2 rate for other users to 45 cents? Okay.
You're
That's
going
correct.
from
That's
34 to 45.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, now go ahead and vote. Go ahead and vote.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, no, I was just looking at it myself, make sure I didn't have a comment. Okay.
No.
So
just
all those in, all those in favor, everybody's got their hand.
Of the amendment. From 31,
Okay.
34 to 45.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, 1. And 2, I guess.
Okay, passed. Now take a vote on the entire thing.
Now we'll take a
Actually, I
vote.
have a question about the overall proposal. We charge our GRF fleet vehicles nothing
Correct.
to use the chargers. Do we track their utilization of the chargers, or is it just a gimme?
Bart,
Bart should answer.
I would have to look into that. I have not looked into that specifically. I am sure that we do track their charging use.
Well, I mean, the reason for the question is that for our gasoline and diesel powered, vehicles, we track it, it's on the budget, we see how much it costs, it's entered into the overall mix. So, I mean, the concern I have is that if we we don't have to charge for it if we track it. But if we don't track it, I would think you would charge for it. But that's, but my concern is that we capture how much.
Point of order.
How much electricity.
We're in the middle of a vote.
No, we're not.
This is,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
this
I
is
think
the
this is the
discussion
clarity.
part
Sorry,
of
I take it back.
yeah,
Take it
this
back.
is the clarity.
Primary motion.
Okay.
Right.
So that's my point, is
Yeah.
that if we track it, fine. If we don't, I think we ought to charge it so we can track it.
Donna?
Yeah, you can't you can't activate that without some kind of a fob or something, and that fob records what's happening. So I don't know how it's recorded to you, but I can tell you that it is recorded on the machine. You can't turn it on, and you can't, and then you have to tell it to stop. Otherwise, the whole village could keep going on your dime.
And that authorization tells you who's using it. So
Yes.
they can charge the appropriate
Well,
rate.
yeah, because it's an authorization thing. So it's, however it's called, it might say just GRF vehicle. I don't know, and they may all fall in one pot. But the fact is, you couldn't activate that without some kind of authorization that you put on the screen, that you touch the screen with.
And I will be happy
And
to
so
look into that.
your point, Bill, is that what kind of control do we have over our own usage?
Yes.
And does this motion impact the cost of our own usage? I think that was,
It's not. So.
or is it just for information?
I'm raising the issue as a concern about whether or not we track EV, usage by our own staff.
It was even.
Because I
They
foresee
can't turn
a
it on
problem
otherwise.
from the finance perspective, from the treasurer's perspective, that if that becomes a hidden cost, that we just, somehow we pay for it, but we don't know that we used X amount of power for our own vehicles, we lose a useful metric for what it costs to run this organization.
I think the idea is with the growing use of electricity, we're going to have to, if we don't already, we need to start reporting and tracking.
I think it was part of the initial report, in
Yeah,
fact. I
I
remember
think so.
them saying, so much usage is by outside people, so much usage is here, and so much usage is village vehicles. So you've got to have it, because the charger won't go on without an authorization.
We'll take one more comment, then we'll go to the vote.
I have put in a written request to the CEO's office 7 weeks ago to get charge point reports. They used to be produced monthly when we first got the chargers installed. I have learned recently that we no longer receive monthly reports from ChargePoint. Rather, they have gone to a cloud-based reporting system. So staff has access to the cloud base, and they can construct their own reports. I've asked for access to that data so that I can do deeper drill down into it to discover what's happening. And I'm still trying to work that out with Bart and through Shaban. So it's my hope that I can start to get that data. Thank you.
And we will be making an appointment pretty soon, but just saying, I think the access to staff by directors asking for lots of detail is limited. Okay,
I put in a written request
I
as
understand.
required by
I'm just
policy.
saying, I think it is limited. Otherwise, we could drive them pretty crazy with all of our individual requests, maybe not in our wheelhouse. So I think we just need to be careful about that.
I think it is.
Okay? And you could go through your committee chair or someone like that to do that. And
I
I'll
have
take-
one more comment.
Yeah.
The comment brought up by Director Cohen is very useful because ChargePoint is probably charging us some money for every time somebody charges the vehicle. So if the staff is charging the car and it's zero cost to the GRF, still we are paying ChargePoint for the use of the equipment. Is that correct?
Well, somebody's, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
it's- No.
Somebody's paying for the electricity.
Electricity as well as ChargePoint.
There's no, ChargePoint doesn't charge for the use of company vehicles. We do pay for the electricity, though.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, see, we learned
It's good to know.
Okay,
But
we learned
I had it,
something.
I thought,
Maybe the appropriate committee will give us a report on that the next time around. But right now, we've got a vote on the table.
okay, so
And
next.
that is to raise the Fee for others, level 2 from 34 to 45.
And,
We already took care of
the
that.
total, both parts now.
And what?
The total vote now.
That's what I'm saying.
We
Now,
already
now
took-
that's what I said, that's the total vote.
We already
And,
took care of that.
And level 3 to raise to 65
And level 3 to, to 65.
for others.
Oh, this is that's right, because this is
That's
part
for
of
the
the total
whole
vote.
thing.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, I got
Wait
it.
a minute,
So that's on the table.
We approved an amendment to the motion. We're now voting on the primary
We're
motion.
voting on the primary
That's
motion
right.
now, but that is the amended primary motion. The amended motion says to change level 2 to other users to 45, and level 3 will remain at 65.
Correct.
That's the amended motion.
Right.
Okay. So, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Next is, I guess, the new item, which is the committee assignments.
No, register.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss that?
Committee assignments.
I'm
isn't
just
it?
in a hurry to get through it. Okay. Right. Committee assignments, right?
Right.
No.
Oh, wait, no, we got one more.
Oh, registrar of
E,
voters.
Registrar of
Okay,
voters.
got it.
Yeah, me too, I was.
The pop-up location, so let's read that. Which one?
President Hopkins,
It's
this
oral
is an oral
discussion. Actually, it's an
discussion.
oral discussion.
Oral discussion.
It's not for a vote, it's an oral discussion.
Happy to provide you information to discuss. So the Orange County Registrar of Voters approached us in an effort to expand voting access. They want to provide a pop-up voting center at Clubhouse 7, which is fully accessible. We are bringing this to your attention to seek support and approval. This was a last-minute request, and they're getting prepared for the election coming up. Staff suggested Clubhouse 7 to avoid gate clearance and security issues associated with that. There are 4 requested dates, including October 29th, October 31st, November 2nd, and November 4th, from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Staff doesn't see any significant conflicts with the use of the space, and we will work with media and communications to advertise the pop-up center. They require an estimated 10 parking spots to fit a 32-foot trailer and 2 canopies. And they would also need access to the bathrooms at Clubhouse 7. They are going to bring all the equipment needed and the staff. They have about 5 to 6 temporary staff that they plan on bringing, and none of our rec staff are required to assist with services for the vote center. The actual location will be determined after a walkthrough with the Registrar of Voters. And voting services include full-service voting and absentee ballot drop-off, ability to process voters and register to vote in real time, which would have a provisional ballot. So it is fully just like any other voting center that you would go to. Accessible features, they can offer larger print, language assistance, contrasting screens, audio ballots, so it's accessible for ADA. They do have a lift to get wheelchairs into the trailer. And you can also connect with the county in-house support from this trailer. So they really have a lot of services that would benefit the residents here. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know. Yes.
The agenda says Clubhouse 2, but you're saying Clubhouse 7.
Yeah.
Yes, so they actually requested Clubhouse 2, and we are recommending Clubhouse 7 just because there are so many drop-in activities and obviously gate security and clearance.
Gates, yeah.
Okay, make a motion.
I move that we approve the pop-up location at Clubhouse 7 for voter registration.
Second.
It's moved in second, ready for the discussion?
Is it voter registration or voting itself?
Registration.
Steve?
Is this primarily for getting the residents of Laguna Woods Village registered?
Yes, there is a big voting group of voters here that they want to reach out
Okay.
to. They set these voting centers up throughout the county. This pop-up one is new to me. I haven't heard of the pop-up before, but.
But it's primarily for our community?
Yes, but it would
not-
be
Laguna Hills or other
Right.
people.
And I'd have to seek more information about how they plan on advertising, because it is an open gate and an open, in the city. I do anticipate they would advertise to other.
Yeah, I would have a concern if it was for additional people outside of our community, just as a safety and a security issue. It might require Orange County Sheriff Department participation, so just in case we don't get any crazy people showing up and causing a problem. I mean, we did have a murder in the church a couple of years ago on a Sunday over political issues, so that would be my only concern. If it's for residents and they're going to advertise it in residents for the Globe and, the Village Breeze and things like that, but if it's going to go outside of that, outside of our community, I would have that security concern. Thank you.
We can also certainly keep our security department in the loop, who does have contact with Sheriff's Department, to express those concerns. But I would have to get more information if they are directly advertising to Laguna Woods Village.
Allison, don't they, at normal polling places, I would assume it would be the same security they would have at any polling place, if it's needed? I mean, I understand our concern here, but when you go to vote, they know what to expect, kind of. I would assume that their security comes with it, probably, so it's a good idea to ask, but otherwise I don't know why our place would be different than anyone else's.
I mean, I guess my thought is that if the purpose is to reach people in Laguna Woods Village, then putting it at Clubhouse 2, facilitates that, because nobody from outside the community is going to get through the gate to get to the place.
It's Clubhouse 7, I think.
I know, but they asked for 2. And the reason we're not putting it in 2 is because we want to put it at 7. And the reason to put it at 7 is to allow outside people to arrive and participate in this. And I'm suggesting that if our goal is to make it easy for people in Laguna Woods Village to register to vote, Clubhouse 2 is a better choice, because they're not going to be standing in line with a bunch of members of the public to register. That's all.
And we can look further into the logistics of Clubhouse 2. Again, we were more concerned about a 32-foot trailer and how much space that takes. Clubhouse 2 has the pool, lawn bowling, pickleball, golf, and the clubhouse activities, so there is a little more parking lot activity at Clubhouse 2 than 7.
2 versus 7 is across the street, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then never mind. Thank you.
Steve?
PAC might be better.
Say again?
PAC might be better. Huge parking lot.
3?
That's, yeah. Well, it's now the Performing Arts Center. It used to be Clubhouse 3, depending on what activities are booked on those dates and times. When Johnson Controls installed all the solar in United, they had a 40-foot trailer there for an office for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it is a large parking lot, and it wouldn't have the same traffic mitigation issues that we might have at Clubhouse 2 getting in that gate, because we're coming in on Calle Aragon, and we have more distance between the street. Yeah. So, anyway.
Okay. Sir?
This is Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie Prater, 901A. I just happen to work for the county as a voting supervisor for the last 7 elections. It's a very impressive little unit they bring in. I'm pretty sure you can't put it behind a gate for non-public, because voting is a public thing.
Yeah.
That's a big, well, they're asking it because the clubhouse that they're wanting over there does have access to everybody. We've had voting centers at that clubhouse before in the past.
You're talking about 7 or 2?
7.
Right, but they asked for
Yeah.
2. The point is they made an illegal request and we're correcting it for them?
Well, I think they have to come out and look at that, okay, when they do that. It's very secure. The voting centers are very secure. In my 7 years of doing this, I've only had 3 instances where there was a problem, and the police were there within seconds, literally. The people are very highly trained for all instances, and it's a very smooth running system. Orange County does a very good job. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. This is like going to be my 8th year. I will be working as a supervisor for about 5 sites. Is there any questions about the sites or anything like that?
So,
It's a very, very secure operation.
but what you're saying, Charlie, is it has to be a public access.
Yeah, you can't put it
Because
behind.
it's a.
You'd
it's
have
a-
to allow people to come in and vote there.
Anyone.
Yeah, because anybody in Orange County can vote at any center in Orange
So this
County.
is for voting, not for registration?
No, this is for
You can
registration.
register the same day you vote.
And you vote at this location? Because there was somebody asked a
Yeah.
question about voting, and the answer was no. So
voting
the answer
No,
is
no,
yes.
it is a registration and voting center.
All right.
Yeah.
So will it be open on voting day?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so registration.
It's open
okay,
from,
fine.
I think, 7 to 8 on voting day, 8
So
p.m.
registration starts when and
The whole,
the whole period from here, from
Right.
now forward, registration starts?
at the same time. Register, you can go and register today.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can go to the county and register to vote. During the voting center for up to 11 days at about 12 centers in Orange County,
Okay.
you can go start and do that, okay? The main voting centers are open for the 4-day period
Got it.
during the voting, and you can come in, register, and vote at the same time.
Vote then.
So since this is a city/state/national function, are there liability waivers associated with having it on a private piece of land?
That's a very good question. Okay, federal may have a problem with it, and I'm sure we can get that answered if you'd like.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, when we open up to the public like that, we have some inherent liabilities associated with it.
Right.
And I would hate for us to get involved with something that, where we're just being good citizens, okay? We get involved in something that
Yeah, we've had it,
unintended.
we've used that facility before, and it went very good.
Yeah, I get it.
And we had a lot of people from here.
If my recollection is correct, we have voted in Laguna Woods in the past.
Yeah.
So what did we do? Was it behind a gate? I mean, it's not a new function. This is a new pop-up site, but
Right.
voting in Laguna Woods is nothing new, as far as I
Right.
remember.
You're right.
We've done it.
So
So there
when-
must be a process that's
Yeah,
already
I don't
established.
know, you can inform me, because
That's
Oh,
a
then-
good-
voting inside of Laguna Woods, behind the
I've never
gates.
had any of my voting centers in a private facility, to tell you the truth. And I've had voting centers from Buena Park all the way down to past Capistrano.
Yeah, I just think it's something that we just need to look into.
No.
And whether we've done it in the past, we may have escaped. It only takes once. Okay. Yes, first Egon and then you, Yvonne.
Yeah, we did have drop-off in the pack before, dining room 3, I think, or the north dining room, whatever. My question is, why do we need this thing at Clubhouse 7 or Clubhouse 2 for that matter, when just maybe 1,000 feet down the street, there's another polling center right at the city hall?
That's on them.
So again, I think they're just trying to expand their voter access and have them in as many places. There's only 4 dates that they've given us. I'm assuming that trailer is going to other locations. And to clarify, they did not give us the voting, the actual election day as when they want to have the trailer here. It's the day before that it would be here. So one of those dates is November 4th.
I would think the need is up to them. We're just providing the space. They determine the need.
The dates are October 29th, October 31st, November 2nd, and November 4th, from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Okay. Yvonne?
He asked my question. That's all right.
You said he asked you a
Yeah,
question?
he asked my question.
Okay. Great minds. Okay. All right, I guess this is actually up for a vote. I thought this was just information.
Do we need to table this, or?
I moved it and one
Yeah.
seconded it.
There's a
That's-
move
It's
and a
been
second.
moved,
This
it's
is
been moved in
discussion.
second.
So we're discussing it.
We're discussing it. I'd like to make an amendment, okay? And that amendment would be subject to liability concerns. So I think we're opening up our facility to the public. Right.
It's already open.
Not really. We've got we've got some restrictions and we've got some issues, so.
Perhaps subject to legal review?
Yes, will council be enclosed today? Could we take this matter up in closed
Yeah,
session?
and that's what I'm going to suggest, that we take it up. But that's why I want to vote either for or against it, subject to, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's an amendment.
Well, for Bill, I would accept that as part of the motion.
Okay, accept that as part of the motion.
There we
Okay.
go.
I'm corrected by Madam?
No, we don't have to take a vote on what you've just suggested. I, as the author of the,
Okay, so you
Okay.
accept it.
I accept it.
Therefore, it's part of the motion.
Yes.
Hey, I'm learning. Okay. One last comment, question.
Clarification, it's for Clubhouse 7, correct?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Subject to legal.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes?
All those opposed? Okay. So we'll take it up in closed. Thank you.
All right. Now we go to the,
Okay, now we go to the changes in the committee.
right.
So aside from those that are already there, I want to propose two changes. One is to add Steve Leonard as the chair of the Mobility and Vehicles Committee.
Why don't we wait till we get to that point?
Oh, okay.
And then we can just do it, okay?
Okay.
If that's all
Okay.
right, because I can go through it pretty fast.
Okay.
So we'll add, you just stop me.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Resolution 90-24-XX, GRF Committee appointments, Community Activities Committee, Andy Kenosio from 3rd has been eliminated. Reza Karimi from 3rd is now the full-time. Moon Yoon as the alternate from 3rd. The Finance Committee, Andy Kenosio has been eliminated. Nathaniel Ira Lewis has been appointed from 3rd. Information Technology Advisory Committee remains the same. Landscape Committee, Nathaniel Lewis, Ira Lewis has been eliminated from 3rd, and Reza Karimi is now the full-time from 3rd. Maintenance Construction Committee remains the same. Media and Communications, Jim Cook has been eliminated from 3rd. Broadband Ad Hoc Committee remains the same, and anytime it isn't, Jim, just tell me. Okay. And Mobility and Vehicles Committee remains, we have a change.
Okay, I'm recommending or I'm promoting a change here for, have Steve Leonard become the Mobility and Vehicles Committee.
And
Leonard.
broadband, I don't see Bunny Carpenter as a advisor.
Oh, thank you.
Just a minute, let me finish
Yeah,
this.
can you add,
Add Steve Leonard from GRF,
yep, add
and
Steve,
under advisors, add,
no, I'm sorry, going back to the broadband. Broadband ad hoc?
okay, wait, okay, let me just finish vehicles.
Okay,
The
so
only-
vehicles, okay.
The only change in vehicles is Steve Leonard.
Steve
added
Leonard, yeah.
From
and-
GRF,
Right, in exchange.
and
As chair,
as chair.
yeah. as
President
chair.
Hopkins. We still have Reinhard Rothberg on there.
And Rainer Rothberg
Yeah.
should be eliminated.
She's eliminated, yeah.
Okay.
I would take her off, okay.
Okay.
So, and take chair off of Juanita
Yeah,
Skillman.
take chair off of Juanita Skillman, make her just an
And-
ordinary member.
And Cush remains as, now back to broadband ad hoc.
Yeah.
We're
And then
going
back
to-
to broadband, we're going to add Bunny Carpenter as advisor.
Bunny Carpenter as
Mhm.
advisor. All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it for
Oh.
that committee.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're finished. Security and community access remains the same.
Nope, we're going to add Steve
Oh,
Leonard.
sorry.
We're going to
Okay.
add Steve Leonard
Steve Leonard, add
Okay.
Steve Leonard
as, and move Donna off the committee. Donna Raines.
Okay.
Shows that.
Steve Leonard's added for
Okay.
GRF.
Yep.
And,
Steve Leonard is the chair now?
and Donna is
It's-
off.
Juanita Skillman remains the chair, yeah.
Oh, well, it is remains the
And
chair.
Juanita's still the chair. Okay.
And that's it for those two.
Those committees, okay.
Yep.
Other committees, disaster prep remains the same. All of the rest of the committees down to space planning ad hoc committee. Andy Ganocchio has been eliminated from third. Otherwise, all the committees remain the same.
Okay, again, I had not spoken to Donna on this, but if she would accept
Which
to
one is
be
this?
the alternate for the Executive Hearings Committee
Oh, okay, instead of you? No?
instead of me.
Donna?
If not, I'll continue to be the alternate.
Yeah, the only conflict I see is Thursday, or which Thursday is it? Is it this
It's usually,
coming?
what, the first Thursday?
It's the first Thursday.
The only problem is that it's only quarterly, but the El Toro Water District has its
okay.
on Thursdays, and it's from 11:30 to 1:30 when they do it. It's only quarterly, but I'm the only one who's.
We're usually finished by then, and you'd only be the alternate.
Okay.
So
I
you
wouldn't
wouldn't
want
necessarily
to
have to
accept
be there.
something that I knew I had a conflict
Gotcha.
for. That would make no sense.
Okay, so you have
So-
will you accept? Okay.
This
Thank-
is
thank
the
you.
Executive Hearings Committee, so we'll add
I'm sorry
you-
for.
add Donna Rain Sosak as the alternate, and take Jim Hopkins out as the alternate for GRF.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that,
And
Donna. I
Steve
meant to,
Leonard.
when I talked to you.
It's okay, you owe me.
Steve Leonard has it.
Okay. Steve?
I have a question. The Select Audit Task Force doesn't have any representation from Mutual 50. And I know this is something that President Stevens from Mutual 50 is deeply interested in and has a lot of experience in from her professional career.
Yeah, since the Mutual 50 is not really included in the audit. Mutual 50 has its own financial audit on its own. So this is an audit of those, of quote, VMS, if you will, as it relates to supporting the mutuals and GRF. So that's the reason why. If you had VMS supporting, not through GRF, that's just, but if you had Mutual 50 supporting as property manager, then yeah, you would be included in that process.
I have a question. On the Select Audit Task Force, I believe Diane Phelps should be VMS. She's not GRF.
No, I believe she's
VMS.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, okay, yeah.
So
Good,
change
good, good.
Diane Phelps to be VMS, not GRF.
Mm-hmm. I think she represents.
Is she
GRF.
representing us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it makes a difference. It's kind of a difference without a distinction. At
Oh,
this
Bill's the
moment.
GRF.
I'm the chair because I'm the treasurer.
Because the chair, by definition, is always going to be the
Well, I'm just asking if that's appropriate, because she
It's
is not a GRF board
yes,
member.
yes, because you've got United, Third, and GRF underneath the chair. The chair is always going to be GRF. So then you've got representation from each one of the boards.
Right, but in this case,
It's GRF.
but
Always has been.
why is it not VMS?
Because we're auditing VMS. They don't have a representative. on it.
Doesn't make
Diane does
sense.
not give up her GRF membership
Yeah,
because she's on VMS.
Okay,
yeah.
All
She
right.
does not, yeah, thank you. She doesn't give up.
okay, leave it as it is.
Leave it as it is. All right.
All right.
Okay, and then I guess the last one was space.
Will we get a clean copy of this?
Yeah, we'll
It's
send
like
out a copy.
so many
when we
scribbles
finish.
on it.
When we finish, we'll send out a copy.
Yeah, that's
You
what
get that
ultimately
next
I said ultimately we will get a clean copy of this.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's
I
what
need to move
not
we
today.
approve that.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion?
I move we approve the GRF committee appointments.
Okay, moved in second. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, moving on, I think we're now up to
Can we take a break?
committee reports. Do we want to take a break? 5 minutes. Be back by 11:40.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Let's put something on the screen for me to talk about.
we are, our 5-minute, 12-minute break is over. And we'll go to committee reports. We're now in session.
Let us begin. All right, this slide. This slide includes all revenues and expenses, including those for designated for reserves, such as investment income, the transfer facility fees, and the reserve assessment contributions. Through the reporting period of June 30, 2024, GRF had a net revenue of $2.7 million, with total revenue of $26.5 million and the total expense of $23.8 million. GRF was better than budget by $625,000, with total expenses coming in lower than budget by $711,000, primarily due to less employee compensation and cable programming costs than anticipated. This was partially offset by revenue coming in lower than budget by $86,000, primarily due to less trust facility fees revenue than anticipated. So, next slide, please.
I think we're having trouble hearing you. Can you speak?
I will try to speak more directly into this microphone right here. All right, slide number 2. This slide displays the operating fund activities, which excludes non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $692,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $181,000, offset by non-assessment revenue worse than budget by $89,000. Next slide, please. This slide shows our most significant operating fund variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variances to budget and orange bars representing unfavorable terms. All right, so our favorables. Employee compensation related of $314,000 favorable was primarily in general services due to having various open positions such as custodians, bus drivers, and mechanics. Additionally, landscape has various gardener positions that remain unfilled. Offsetting the favorable variances slightly, recreation has more filled positions than was assumed at the time of the budget creation as service levels return to pre-pandemic levels. The 2025 budget has been adjusted to reflect this. All right, cable programming and franchise fees were favorable by $290,000 due to franchise fees inadvertently being budgeted twice. The variance is expected to continue through the end of the year. Moving forward, the 2025 business plan only includes the franchise fee once. All right, materials and supplies of $229,000 due to less materials needed than budgeted year to date for golf supplies such as herbicide and insecticide, having coffee or kitchen supplies at Clubhouse 1 due to the temporary closure of Clubhouse 1 and equipment not yet ordered for the PAC. In addition, contingency budgets for carpentry services, interior painting, and exterior painting have not yet been needed throughout the community. All right, and we've got clubhouse rentals and event fee revenue of $176,000 favorable due to more event fees and room rentals at the Performing Arts Center for events such as King of Queen, Jimmy Buffett, and ABBA Fab tribute bands. Associated costs for these events found in community events expense line. Overall, community events are net favorable. All right, so our unfavorable. Unfavorable variances of $288,000 in broadband services due primarily to a sponsorship generating program in media and communications that was anticipated to be launched in 2024 but has not yet occurred. In addition, clients continue to allocate fewer dollars to cable TV advertising and instead go towards other digital platforms, resulting in lower advertising revenue than we had anticipated. All right, slide 4, please. The slide shows the sources of revenue other than the assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received $5.6 million of non-assessment operating revenue, as shown on this pie chart by category. We can see that the largest revenue is broadband services, which is internet, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by golf revenue, clubhouse rental rentals and event fees, and merchandise sales. Other revenue, which includes class fees, electric vehicle charging revenue, additional occupant fees, equestrian center fees, and RV storage fees, among others, amount to about 15%. These revenues offset costs and help keep assessments down. Slide number 5, please. Consistent with prior months, our largest operating expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expenses. Of the $21.2 million excluding depreciation, these two categories account for 71% of the total operating expense. Insurance, professional, and legal, utilities and fuel, outside services, etc., make up the remaining 29%. Slide number 6, please. The reserve and restricted fund adjusted balances are shown in this slide, starting with the first column on the left. Reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $43.7 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $3.9 million. Included in these totals are contributions received this year through assessments, trust facility fees, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of $9.9 million for reserve and $90,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balances of $33.8 million for reserve and $3.9 million for restricted. And if we can go to slide number 7. We have a slide that shows resale history from 2022 to 2024. Community-wide sales total 317 through June 30, 2024. Most of these transactions generate the trust facilities fees, transfer fee, which is used as a source for our reserves. All right, let's go to slide number 8. The listing on this slide gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $29.8 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve fees is $18.9 million, primarily for renovation projects. Restricted funds had a total appropriations of $47,000 for West Creek Fuel Modification Project, which has been completed. The West Creek Fuel, just as my added note, the West Creek Fuel Modification Project also is an ongoing expense. So we had the cleanup that had to be done, and then there's the maintenance over time, and that's included in the 2025 budget. All right, slide number 9. Here we compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years. On this chart, showing the GRF has averaged $29.5 million in reserve funds and $2.9 million in contingency funds. And thus ends my report. All right, now we have the Finance Committee report, which I don't have one written, but I guess it's not a Finance Committee report. It was full GRF meeting yesterday on the budget. So we're working on the budget, working through it. We've gotten to version 3. Our next cut is the final cut, and that's sort of where we are. And that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
I'd like to make a comment on the budget meeting that we had yesterday, which was excellent, but particularly why for those of you on the TV audience that did not tune in yesterday, it's important that you understand right up front that 84% of the increase in GRF dues, or basically 8 of the 10, 80 of the $100, 8 of the $10, are fixed fees. They are things we cannot change. They are electricity, they are trash, they are other ones that basically are passed on through us to you, and we have no control over. So I just think that Finance has done a fantastic job at keeping the rest of it down to about 2%.
So I have a comment and a question. And the comment is on chart 3, I think you should separate out clubhouse rentals and event fees, because one thing obscures the other. And clubhouse rentals are always positive. Event fees could very well be negative. And those two should be separated out because one obscures the other. And there's too much of that going on already. And then I had the other one is just a simple question. On chart number 6, equipment fund is 7 million and 6.99 million is in progress. What is that? Because
I think that's on the other pages.
the thing's going away.
I think the next page describes all of that, I believe.
Well,
After that.
I just I mean, the equipment fund is going away. It's gone, almost 100,000. That's pocket change. What's happening?
I'll have to go to staff and ask them exactly what that is. So your question is why is the equipment fund
the
here?
equipment fund's going away.
And why do we think it's going away?
Well, because you started with 7 million and in only 1 year you take 6.99 out and 100,000 left. It's gone.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's going the same place Bill has taken his our set-top boxes.
Actually, just
to the graveyard, to the elephant graveyard.
Just by way of process explanation, these funds are actually used interchangeably.
I'm not
questioning. I'm just saying when you look at one fund and say why is that particular, and it looks close, but these funds basically comprise the reserve fund.
Yeah.
And so looking at one of the funds and then decide, gee whiz, that one's close, that one's not so close. They're used interchangeably, and it's just a financial or an accounting change to put money in from one to the other.
Yeah, but there must be a reason why we have 3 funds, okay? And then there's a reason why you charge this one and not that one, and I'm just surprised because the fund's going away. Are we going to have to?
When you say going away, are you
well,
referring to the fact
it has almost no balance
it is diminishing in fact?
Somehow we're spending all that money, and that's a big chunk of that's 70% of our capital, and you don't know the name of the project?
You simply just transfer funds to that
existing
funds.
I will inquire again, and I will get you an answer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next on the committee report is the Community Activities Committee.
That's me. Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things that happened at CAC. At Clubhouse 6, we put in a new hearing loop to assist those people that are impaired. And everything that the activities and recreation department did in the last month was quite a success. The July splash days, the Korean Club golf tournament, a couple of things that also came under our scrutiny was the Cavalry Chapel High School girls tennis team wanted to use our tennis courts, and after legal counsel and risk management, we decided that we shouldn't let them use our tennis courts. We're going over some of our recreation, and we're going to I have to tell you, though, I need to be corrected on the donations for the cups. I voted against it, and I just assumed that everybody did without reading my report. And there was just 2 of us that voted against it. But we're going, next month, we're on future agenda items, we're looking at the reserve system review, and the recreation policy. And our next meeting is going to be this Thursday, August 8th at 1:30 here in the boardroom, and it'll also be on Zoom. I hope I made myself clear. I'm not so sure. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, next is the Landscape Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have much to report because our last meeting was on May 8th, 2024. Next meeting is August 14th, next week on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. in this boardroom. But I would like to mention that our landscape department wasn't asleep for this last 2 months or 3. I'd be happy to announce that they finished the electrical upgrade that they had to do for the mower shop. They are now ready to order electrical equipment before the end of 2024 so that they could trade in the gas-powered equipment and get the rebates in time. This is a matter of approximately $16,000 to $18,000. So we have encouraged them to continue to do that, and more information will be up your way as we have the next meeting on the 18th. Did I say the date correctly? 14th next week at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Thank you.
Is the date on the minutes that are in the things, that's May 8, 2024, not 2023?
Beg your pardon?
The packet has the minutes of the Landscape Committee meeting in 2023. I'm presuming that's 2024.
Well, you must be right. I haven't even read that.
You missed it.
Oh, in the minutes.
Okay.
Well, I did not check the minutes because...
No problem. I just want to make the notation.
I know it is 2-3 months old, and it's just being stacked in there. So, thank you.
Next we'll have...
You are reading the packet.
See, he's reading. Next is the Water Conservation Committee. Director Raines Solstock.
Thank you. And as you heard Director Skillman when she spoke of the fact that right now we're in the midst of our budget season. Yesterday was a very, very good and very informational meeting. And sadly, one of the biggest things we got out of it is we don't have a whole lot of control over a lot of things in the budget. Particularly our utilities, such as the basic charges for water and electricity. And I was reminded, as we're hearing so much on the news about a presidential election coming up, I was reminded of the inauguration of a president just about 60 years ago who at his inauguration said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. We can't do anything about those basic rate unit charges, but we can do something about the cost when it comes to water, and that is we ourselves can conserve. Efforts have been amazing in this community, and we need to, one of the things I learned living in the world of education is we have to keep reminding people, we have to keep things in the forefront, and when it was in the forefront, it's very difficult to figure out what's potable water, what's not, because in United, it's all really one system and we can't separate them out. Fortunately, in Third Mutual, we can. Those are two different systems. And judging by the bills, our landscape department was actually able to go back and sort of extrapolate what the savings might relate to in United based upon assuming people are doing the same things in both places. And what we discovered was our water costs go in by tiers. The least expensive, tier 1, and as you go up, they get more. And the most expensive would be tier 4, excessive water use. Third Mutual, where we could see what's broken out, went from about $15,000 a month to $1,500 a month.
Wow.
That's significant. That's something you can see and take to the bank, and we'd love to do that. And looking at the cubic feet of water, you know, how they measure it, in 1 year, just with keeping it in the forefront of our minds, in third, where we could directly measure it, residential water use, that's the potable water, saved approximately in 1 year 150 million gallons of water. That's a lot of water. And it's important just to remind people, when it rains like it did like crazy during this past year and Mother Nature gets goofy, that's lovely for our lawns and it does save our landscaping water, but it doesn't do one thing for our potable water. 100% of the water that's in our homes that we drink, that we use for things, and unfortunately, potable water is throughout United, although they get the benefit on the lawn side, you know. But 100% of our water comes from somewhere else. We do not have reserves here. We have an emergency supply, and that's about it. And so it's very expensive. It's either transported from Northern California, depending upon the snow depth. 2 years ago, year and a half, when we had that terrible drought, at the water district, they showed a picture of the people who went out to measure the snow depth. And you don't know how scary it is when they're going out to measure the snow depth and they're standing on ground.
What snow?
That's right, what snow? They were standing directly on the ground. That was our theoretical water supply. The other part of it comes from the Colorado River. Every year, we and the other states involved have been taking out more than goes in. And we are in a temporary time right now. That contract, that agreement is going to be redone. It was redone for just a couple of years as a holding pattern. The chances of as much coming out of the Colorado River as it did in the past are very slim. Those numbers are going to go down. And California got the biggest share of that because we were the ones that initiated bringing it in the first place. So we got a benefit for many years. But whether or not that benefit's going to remain or how much of it. So we've got to do it. So we each have to ask ourselves, what can I do for my community? And we can think about our water. We can think about our usage. And for those of you, think about it in places like in Third Mutual and wherever GRF might have it. That spigot on the outside of a residential building that you would water the plants with that are outside or whatever, it's outside. So in places where the water is separated and there's recycled water for the lawns, which most of Third has, in our heads, I would say, I'm turning on the spigot outside, so it must be recycled water because the spigot's outside. But it's coming from in the house. So those spigots on the outside of buildings, in areas, whether it's a garden villa or whatever it is, in areas where there's recycled water, those silcox, whatever they call them, on the outside of the building, that's potable water too. That's the stuff coming from Colorado and Northern California. So we can do it. And again, we can't do anything about the unit cost. We can do something about how many units we use. So special thank you to everybody who's done it, and let's keep doing it. And for those of you who just are so excited about water that you can hardly stand it, I just wanted to tell you we're very fortunate. Otero Water District is really great about working with us and communicating with the community. And they have something called a Community Advisory Group. For short, they call it the CAC. And quarterly, they have these wonderful meetings that last about 2 hours where they update everybody. And this time, it is in 2 days. It is Thursday, August 8th. These meetings are from 11:30 to 1:30. They're even kind enough to serve lunch. They have some sandwiches packed for us, and it's very, very informational. When rate increases are coming, they make sure to let us know, and to let us know anything else that they're doing. So if anyone who's watching might want to go, you have to go to the website for El Toro Water District and register. There is absolutely no fee, but you have to register before you go. So I'm looking forward. I will be there. I promise to report on it both at Landscape and Director Skillman's going to be there. And I promise to report on our next board meeting, but also at the Landscape meeting that is coming up very soon. So I'm looking forward to it. And to everybody pitching in and helping us keep our water costs down. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, next is up.
I have a
is-
question.
No question. Oh.
I mean, I was under the impression that we did not have the ability, a very significant ability to use recycled water.
Oh.
So Third Mutual, which includes our golf, does it include our golf courses?
No, the golf course has recycled water, but it's not
It's
part
not
of Third
part of
Mutual,
Third.
it's GRF.
So on Third, like on Gate 14, I mean, can we?
All of Third Mutual's, and people should know this, all of Third Mutual's lawns, with the exception of Gate 14 and Gate 11, both, because they were outside. It's too high up to get that, it's too expensive to move the water up to 14 for the recycled water. And there are other issues with getting it to Gate 11. So those two areas, for a while it was much less, but in the last couple of years they finished everything except 11 and 14. So recycled water is all of the lawn water in Third, with the exception of 11 and 14, and the exception of that Stillcock spigot outside the house, which
Right.
looks like it's lawn, but it's not.
It doesn't look that. I mean, I never fooled myself into thinking that, I mean, if you have access to a spigot, it's not recycled water.
That's correct.
So that's just period.
Yeah. Well, but you know,
Unless
you're
it's-
looking at it and
unless
it's
it says
outside.
this is
and-
not potable because people will kill themselves.
And most
doing
people
it.
aren't engineered. I think
Right.
we don't think about it, you know?
Nothing
So-
south of El Toro
Okay,
Road.
Got it, thank you.
okay. Let's move on to, we've got Director Horton on the maintenance and construction.
Well, I thought you skipped me.
Ooh,
No,
you're up.
And I reported on our last meeting already.
Okay.
And now I can't find it.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
And the next meeting is
Next week.
next week, there. I've said, Juanita
Okay.
has
and
helped me.
The Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee is currently in suspension pending the legal review and approval
Great.
assumptions. Okay. And next is the Media and Communications Committee, which met on July 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right. We had a very exciting meeting because we had a big report on the website. And of course, all my thunder's been stolen by Siobhan this morning because her whole report was on the website. And that was what we witnessed at our meeting. And before, as things are finished, we'll probably have another meeting just on the website, because we're not scheduled for another meeting until October, when everything's supposed to be finished. So, in addition, a couple things I wanted to mention. Especially, there's a handout that everybody should know about how to get in touch with people. It's the Connections and Pathways flyer. It gives you at least 15 ways to get in touch with village boards and management, And it's available at the various clubhouses. Look for it, it's around. And it's also out here at our kiosk in the opening of this center, the clubhouse center. So we had a very exciting meeting, is all I can say. And our next exciting meeting will be October 21st at 1:30 here in the boardroom and online. That's my report.
Thank you.
I have a copy.
Oh, resident services? Great, yeah.
That's what she was talking about.
Yeah. You know, it's just communication in this, Siobhan talked about it, is very difficult, to reach the 18,000. We can send it out, but, only a few are receiving, so it's always a challenge. So thank you for our Media and Communications Department as well as the committee. We're doing such a fine job. Next is the Broadband Ad Hoc, Director Rosa.
Thank you. The Broadband Ad Hoc Committee had a meeting on July 24th, and Our next meeting is actually, at this point in time, slated to be a two-day meeting, September 11 and 12, at this point in time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director Rosa, is there any, when do you think these meetings will start to move to open meetings? I know there's a lot of vendor activity, et cetera, you were dealing with, but when is it scheduled to move to an open committee format so that the residents can hear with, about what's being talked about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been kind of like bouncing, are we an ad hoc committee still, or are we the broadband committee now that we've got an approved a charter? And so as far as timing, I'm saying 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, I mean,
is that at this point in time?
Okay.
I would proceed.
So you're saying you've got some more work to do in the background that
yes,
because of the nature of the work, the public is not privy to.
Correct, but
and your estimation is 3 months.
To be determined.
Okay. So if you would, you just continue to report on when you think that's going to happen, because we've touched on a lot of things. I mean, I noticed you did in your last in the finance meeting yesterday. You touched on some things, and I received at least 3 inquiries based on what you said.
Okay. Yes, timing is becoming of the essence.
Okay,
that's all I'll say.
Okay, so can't keep putting the teasers out there. All right, next is the Mobility and Vehicles Committee. Director Skillman for the last time.
All right, our last meeting was May 15th, and we are meeting tomorrow, August 7th, 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. And we have one big item on our agenda, and that is the transportation budget. We will have a presentation. We get this a lot. We go over it in budget, but we do it from a high level of view. This is going to break it down. So if you're interested in the transportation and vehicle budget and what we are looking to budget for those things, please come to our meeting tomorrow at 1:30. Yes.
That's a high dollar item, isn't it?
And I might add, we made a change today so that Director Leonard.
Yes, he will be taking it over tomorrow.
In full force. Well, she'll lead you in. That's just a reminder. Lots of changes here. More to come. Okay.
And then our next meeting will be November 6th.
All right. Thank you. And next is the Security and Community Access Committee, Director Skillman again.
We met on June 26th. Our next meeting will be August 28th. And I'm happy to say we will have the new amended, updated traffic rules at that meeting. I talked to compliance this morning. They're getting me a red line copy, and there will be both a red line showing the changes made and the new clean copy for everybody. These are meant to be village-wide. I know Third passed their own set last week or this month at their meeting, so we'll have to see if there's any changes there. At that meeting, we'll also be looking at, because it's in August, some issues for the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, which doesn't meet again until into September, which will be past our Disaster Preparedness Expo that's coming up the first part of September. So we're going to be going over some things for that as well at that meeting. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the traffic hearings. We had a traffic hearing on July 17th, and our next hearings are August 21st. As usual, stop sign running seems to be the major problem that we have. But one of the things that we are seeing more and more in the traffic hearings is our residents don't seem to understand or realize when they admit somebody into our village, whether it's called into the gate, through Dwelling Live, whatever, they are responsible for that person. And if that person gets a violation and a fine, it goes to the resident. So when you let people in, and this includes contractors, you let contractors in and they don't obey our rules, you are responsible. So we've had a number of cases where that has come up, and our residents just don't realize. That's not me, it's not me. No, it is. In the traffic hearings, I'm also very, and security access, happy to report that the Finance Committee went through with the updated fees for traffic violations. We found that particularly $25 for running a stop sign deters nobody. So we are asking that fee is one of those that's going to be raised. So there's a whole schedule of fees that will be coming into us. Yes, Mark?
If a VMS contractor gets a ticket,
They are disciplined by VMS.
VMS handles.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you.
They are not given a free pass.
Given that roads are, basically throughout the village, it's unusual for a mutual to have its own traffic rules aside from perhaps at the cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, our whole main object in this, and it's been a 6-month project, is to standardize it throughout the village.
Yeah.
So when our security forces puts in they're not having to say, oops, is this Third? Oops, is this United? Oops, is this GRF?
Yeah.
It's all going to be the same. So that's what we're working on. And let's see. Next was the Disaster Preparedness Task Force. We met on July 30th. Oops, the question.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
Jen.
not a question, but a comment. And just to reinforce that the purpose of these fines, and they are raised significantly to get people's attentions.
Yes.
It is not for us to make money. We're not looking at it as a revenue source.
No.
We're looking at it as a way to get people's, as you said, $25 didn't quite change anybody's way of doing things. But the amounts now are significantly higher, and the hope is, and I think it's important that our members and residents know, it's not to make money, it's to have people do the right thing.
And one of the reasons we know that is we have a large amount of violations and a very small amount of people who come to the traffic hearings. Most people, $25, go ahead and pay, and they don't really think about it. So we're trying to get people's attention. It's important. Safety in this village with our age and demographic is just very important.
Should we, or is there a plan to publish the new fee structure in the briefs or somewhere?
It went through finance, but it's going to have to be approved here at the board.
I mean, once it's approved, how are we going to get that information out to people?
Oh, it will be published. Article in the Breeze, and certainly on What's Up in the Village. that kind of thing. And these fees, all of our fees come out every year in our November package that comes out to everybody. And it's not just the traffic fees, but disciplinary fees, any other fees, et cetera, are all sent to every single resident with the November package. But we will publicize these in addition to that.
And they've got to turn pages and actually decide to look at it. Whereas in the breeze, it usually fits on what I saw of that new chart. Fit on one page.
As with everything else in this village, we never use just one means of communication. It's going to go out every way that we can think of, so.
It's 2 parts of communication, sender and receiver.
Okay, and disaster preparedness, we did meet July 30th. We will meet again on September 24th. We are working on a disaster preparedness expo that's going to be just fantastic. I believe it's September 9th, and it will be at Clubhouse 3, Performing Arts Center. We're going to have a mock earthquake. It's a trailer that they bring around, and you go in and you feel like you're in a 7-point earthquake. It really gets people's attentions. There's going to be a lot of vendors there with supplies for disaster preparedness. As I think everybody here knows, we don't have an office here anymore where we're selling supplies. So we want to get that information out to all of our residents if they want to buy it. And also, at our meeting, a gap analysis was given of the difference between our disaster preparedness plan and that's being worked on for the city. And we used the same expert who did a gap analysis. This is what you've got, this is what they've got, where do they meet, where do we need to change? So we're still working on that, but we did get the report of the gap analysis at our last meeting. And I think that's plenty for me.
Okay, good. And last but not least, ITAC, we meet at every last Friday of the month. Last meeting was in July, and we basically get an update as to where the vendor is in terms of completing things, and staff's participation in that, making sure that staff is not only fully anticipated and invested in it, but also is contributing. And so we're right on our new schedule, which is about, we extended about 4 to 6 months, I think, in terms of total time. But given the size and scope of this project, that was actually to be expected. In fact, we allowed for it in the financial assessment of it at the beginning. We put in a budget with a 10% contingency on it. And we're not in danger of moving past that 10% contingency. So with that, let's go to future agenda items. Pricing rates for electrical charging stations. We did that. And discussion of smart cards. But didn't we just do pricing rates for electric charging?
It's a 28-day hold.
Oh, 28-day, got it, okay. Keep me on board. And discussion of smart cards.
I'd like to add to the future agenda the fees for traffic fines.
Now, is that a normal, that's a normal agenda item, right? I mean, that's a normal.
It's done by the board, it's been approved by finance.
Okay.
Gone through the finance.
Okay, so that will come up.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Juanita, what was it you said?
Fees for traffic violations.
Okay. I might add that new process, I think, is working. Is working well.
Does it come up as a agenda item or as a consent calendar item?
It can be a consent.
But it's got to be on the agenda.
Right. No, I know, I just.
This might be on consent, but.
Yeah, since it's been approved by the committees as the consent calendars, as it can be there. If somebody wants to pull it to talk about it, they can, but definitely.
Okay, thank you.
I'll defer to the Robert Rules experts. I said I'll defer to the Robert Rules experts. Okay, and with that, let's move to director comments. We'll start with Steve at the end.
Good meeting, glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if Juanita mentioned it or not, but of the dues that are collected, that we all write checks or have it taken out of our checking account, that 800 plus, only $220 of that goes to GRF to support all of the swimming pools, all of the clubhouses, all of the repairs. I just wanted to put it out there so everybody hears it. Thank you.
Okay. Donna?
Great meeting, no other comment.
No further comments?
No comment.
And just to add to what Yvonne said, remember GRF is twofold. We are amenities, we are services. So some of the services, things like that, maybe we could cut back, but of the $10 increase, $8 is fixed going elsewhere that we have no, it's $2 per manor per month. It's paying for everything else that we do.
Good meeting, I enjoyed it, thank you.
No comments.
No further comment, thank you.
And just ditto on Director Horton. It's amazing how much focus we get, and yes, we can always do a better job. But we're at 228. We're actually number 2 in terms of the Corteses developments. Seal Beach is number 1 at 215 and going up. We're 228 and we're going up. But I believe Walnut Creek is 245 and Silver Spring is 275. I have to look at my notes. But so it's not that we compare, it's just that we are pretty on par.
But how do their facilities compare to ours?
I'm sorry?
Their facilities are not comparable, correct?
Oh, yeah, I mean
that's important. You know, we can say, oh, it's a difference if we pay $20 less or $40.
Yeah.
But we get
so much more as a result of that. And the concept is country club living at affordable prices, and that was the Cortese concept.
Yeah. And we do forget that it is country club living.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in the history book and other things that.
It's in the marketing stuff from the beginning of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not mine. I'm not that creative. Okay, we will recess or adjourn to recess to. Okay. Oh yes, and we have a meeting at 1:00 that we have to. So we have to get settled by 1 so we can start our closed session.
It's 12:30. Do you want to resume closed session
at 1 for the
at 1:00?
disciplinary hearings? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You guys are programmed.